I'm Greg Jarrett for FoxNews.com. France on high alert right now after a man at a U.S.-based chemical company was decapitated by terrorists. They left his severed head scrawled with Arabic phrases and dangling from a fence amid two ISIS flags. This is raising new concerns over Islamic terrorism in Europe. Here now with reaction, Nile Gardner from the Heritage Foundation. Niall, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
Why this particular target? What's the motivation?
Well, I think clearly ISIS is trying to sow the seeds of fear inside France. This was an attack on an American-owned factory near Lyon, which is France's second biggest city. It's a very clear message of intent, I think, being sent by ISIS, that it can strike at the very heart of France. Just a few months, of course, after the Charlie Hebdo attacks in Paris, François Hollande, the French president, immediately responded saying this was a terrorist attack. Undoubtedly, this is the actions of the ISIS terrorist organization, increasingly now focusing upon homegrown terrorists in France and across Europe. Also, we have several thousand individuals who have traveled from France, Britain, other European countries to fight for ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Some of those individuals have returned now to France and other European cities, creating a huge, I think, headache for the French security services.
It seems as though ISIS is growing in strength. Would you agree? And if so, what more needs to be done to get rid of ISIS's strength that seems to be growing?
Well, I think we have to understand that this is a global war against Islamic extremists, largely in the form of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. This is a war that has to be fought on multiple fronts, inside Europe, but also in Iraq and Syria. It's important that the West does all it can in order to defeat ISIS in both Iraq and Syria, and also to deal with the large number of homegrown jihadists who are operating within European cities. In Britain, for example, there are an estimated 2,000 Islamist terrorists operating there, probably a similar number inside France. But we have to understand this is not a law and order exercise. This is a global war against an Islamist enemy that seeks the destruction of the West itself.
Well, you brought up the homegrown terrorists. Are these individuals who have no direct contact with ISIS that are simply inspired by their twisted ideology?
Well, it's unclear in this case whether the terrorist involved in this horrific murder actually had a direct connection to ISIS, or whether he was inspired by ISIS. But one thing we do know, he was actually under the surveillance of French intelligence authorities between 2006 and 2008. So he was actually on their sort of terror watch list many years ago. For some reason, he wasn't monitored in recent years. But I think we're going to have a very clear, a much clearer picture perhaps in the next few days or so with regard to any terror links back to ISIS in Iraq or Syria involving this individual. But I would think certainly that he was acting either at the orders of ISIS, or he was directly inspired by ISIS's terrorist atrocities in the Middle East.
Nile Gardner, thank you very much for being with us. Check out FoxNews.com for more on this developing story. I'm Greg Jarrett. Thanks for watching.